let's have a recap. I mean, it's the things we were looking at yesterday. I just want to recap some of this and try and refresh, because we're kind of going from from petrol to diesel, going from talking about franchising now talking about sales. So we're kind of moving from in two different directions. So we looked at the reasons why people buy, the key success factors in sales, and these are things that are on that little quiz paper, by the way, and then the 4 areas of control. And then we looked at what I call the sales continuum. When you're in the meeting, what happens? And there's a whole pile of workshops. And we didn't really do the workshops. These are things that we would do when I'm doing training with a sales force in a company or whatever. And we did do some yesterday. And actually, have you come back? Oh, yes. You're the architect. You've moved to the back of the seat. It's all right, I can go back, that's fine. And so it's good to have some things in there. Right. Just a bit of a recap. We looked at the reasons why people buy, and principally, these are the ones. We're going to either make money, save time, enhance the product, service or experience that people are having. And pretty much everything we can think of, whether it's in a business-to-business environment or even a personal environment, these are the key things that we would look at when we're going to buy something. And yes, purchasing and selling is an emotional experience, but buying is quite an emotional experience. And actually, I don't know if you ever found, you also, on a personal level, and it actually happens at a corporate level as well, you buy something and then you go into an affirming mode. Yeah? I bought these trainers and I spent, $100 whatever dollars buying these trainers. You think, ooh, can I really justify that? And then you go back, do you ever find yourself doing that? You're justifying what you did. So it's a good idea as a salesperson to go back to the people you've sold to and ask them how they're getting on with the product. Don't be afraid. And they might say, oh, actually, yeah, because they're going through that justification thing. And actually, you go back to them, and it may be that they're having some problems or hasn't met their expectations. You're going back and putting things right actually cements that relationship. So that's just a throwaway line as we go through this. The key success factors we looked at, so just going a little more detail here. The attitude. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So you gotta really have a really good attitude doing this. And there is no substitute for doing stuff. In sales, more than anything else, it's a numbers game. If you talk to one person, you have one chance. If you talk to 100 people, you have 100 chances. So you have to get the activity level up. That's really super important. Time management. Wow, time is so limited, and time can run away. And when I'm doing this with sales training people, I have a few images I bring in, drop in on slides. And there's one guy, and he's holding a clock, and he's got his black gloves on, and he's a time thief. And he's stealing the clock and walking away. Because there are times when you realize, oh man, my morning has gone, because things take time. And somebody asked me about, I think it was Morris asking me about time management. Morris, yeah. Asked me about time management. And time management is really important. And be careful to assess when other people want to take your time. Because, time is all you've got. One day, you'll be 6 foot under, and there'll be a thing on there, and it'll be time. You're born in the 5th of June, 1975, died on the 19th of December, 2030. That's it, the clock stopped. That's all you've got is time. Time is the most precious commodity in the universe. We have to manage our time and do it really. And what does the scripture say on time? Manage the time, for the days are evil, right? So you manage our time. So we have to manage the time and be very careful of that. So activity is really important. And there's no substitute for skills. And even if you're working for an organization, it's easy in the first week or the first month going through your induction period when you don't know things, because you're not expected to know anything in your first month. You can ask any question, and don't be afraid to ask that question. But also, if you find there's a gap in your knowledge later, get the answer to that. Maybe one of your colleagues, you might want to go to your boss, going to compromise your position, or go online, Google it. We're in a situation today where we can find anything out pretty much easily online. I get stuck on stuff like Excel spreadsheets. I think, oh man, how do I do a pivot table again? Can't remember. Google, how do I do a pivot table? And there'll be like 20 people want to tell me how to do a pivot table. Skills development, don't be ignorant about anything. Find out how to do it and then just do it, and that's really important. So activity, attitude, and skills development, really important. Now the areas we can control, 4 areas we control. One is our territory. What is your area of responsibility? Well, a physical area, or maybe it could be a commercial area. But what's your territory? How in control of that are you? You can take total control of that. Then time control. Time control is important, time management. And then meeting control. This is the part we're halfway through doing this now. And then product knowledge control. Whatever it is you're selling, know what it is and know what it does for other people. And that's the really important piece within that. So that's what we've done so far. In grey and in blue is what we're now going to dive into. And we use spin techniques with somebody, our architect friend, and we're really developing that. How do we look at the implications of the problems that are out there? So we're going to now jump straight into features and benefits. Right. Features and benefits. The amount of times I look even at marketing material and they will say, oh, and the product has the following benefits. It's got a green handle. It's got a whatever. It's like, what? That's not a benefit. That's a feature. So that's one of the complications we have. So this transition we talked about before we get into the features and benefits part. The transition is. This is all about now bringing a summary forward, trying to summarize the needs, because you've said to them, also the situation is this, and this is the problem. So if we could do this, da-di-da. So you're now coming up with proposing a solution, and they'll say, oh yeah, you got it. That's exactly what we want to do. Now you ask them for permission. Can we summarize that and transition into it? But before we transition, features and benefits. Now, why? Because people buy products, okay? People don't buy products for themselves, they buy them for the benefits they bring. So now, and what is the benefit? Is it going to save them money? Is it going to save them time? Is it going to make them money? Is it going to enhance their reasons, their life or their experience in whatever way? So we buy it for whatever reason. So almost everything we have, everything on my table here that I own, I don't own the microphone, I bought it with one of those things in mind. And the clothes we're wearing, you buy the clothes, these particular clothes. Now I bought these jeans. Why? Because I like for travel, because they're totally flexible. So that's the real benefit for me, particularly as I'm less flexible. So it's good. So the various things we buy for this. Now, we look at the feature and then we ask them, what's the difference between a feature and a benefit? How can you tell the difference between a feature and a benefit? Anybody tell me? Exactly right. So to say that again, the feature is an attribute, something that is there, and the benefit is what it brings or what it does to the customer. Yeah? What about, you see, you guys are too young. I remember having a phone and something else with me. What did I have? A camera. So I had 2 devices, right? So this enables, one of the benefits of having a camera in my phone is that I have just one device. Yeah? So fewer things to carry. That could be, see, you could say, I have a camera in my phone. So the benefit of that is what we described. You could say the advantage of that is I can edit pictures. The benefit of that is I don't have to wait till I get home. So what am I now doing? I'm saving time, right? So now you begin to work across as you can have features and benefits, or you can have features, advantages and benefits. So it's trying to know what the benefits are within that. So Again, that added camera, so you can capture moments. That's great. It's instant. It's there. You don't, you don't remember having to go to the chemist and drop in your camera, drop in your film, wait for 4 or 5 days for the guy to develop them, and then get them back, and everybody's blurry, and people are looking in different directions, and all of that. And whereas we don't have those issues today, right? So there's again, we're saving time. So there's a real benefit to having the camera there because it enables communication. Right? That can be just a benefit right there, or it could be an advantage. The advantage is it enables communication. The benefit is I don't have to wait till I get home, or it brings clarity to something if I'm dealing with, say, in a work environment, and I'm in a store, and I'm in a pizza store, and I don't know how to fix an oven, let's say, and I get my camera, and immediately I can turn it around, and the guy will tell me, oh, you push that button there and do this thing here. Great, thank you very much. Job done. I now save time. So, you're saving time. So it's got huge time-saving benefits having that on there. Okay, screen time monitor. What benefit does that bring you? I can't. Was this the lady who asked me? Screen time monitor. Yes. Also makes you feel guilty when you realize how much time you've been wasting on. You get the report saying, you spent an average of 14 hours on screen last week. We've never done that, of course, have we? And so it's, yeah, so you can see the difference, right? We're asking this and that. Now, the question that you can ask, if you don't know the difference between a feature and a benefit, is ask yourself, so what? So let's take the next one. We look at a calendar. It's got a calendar. Now ask yourself, so what? Ask yourself, so what? Now, what's the benefit of having a calendar on there? I have a calendar on my phone. Oh, so what? Oh, well, if you tell someone I have a calendar on my phone and they say, so what? What are you going to say to them? You can keep track of events, yes. Yeah. Which ultimately is going to save you time, make you more efficient. So there's all of those benefits in there. Facebook app. There's a Facebook app on your phone. So what's so what?
You can use it to advertise yourself.
Say again, sorry?
For advertising yourself.
Yes. And again, you're saving time because you don't have to wait to go home to go online to see it. Yeah, so okay. So facial recognition to open my phone. Or a thumbprint or whatever you use. So there's a sensor in there to secure. So what? What's the benefit then?
So for security, then it quickens the amount of time you take to open or unlock your phone.
Great, yeah, so immediately, so speed, you can open up, but actually security, you mentioned as well, which is really important. So the benefit is secure, so you know that somebody isn't going to steal your phone. So security in there is really important. It's got a flashlight. Hey, like somebody works, so what? Sorry? So yes, it has a flashlight. Yeah, actually it's quite useful when you get power cuts, isn't it? So, everybody dies for the phone. So you don't have to carry a phone with you or a camera. You don't have to carry a flashlight with you. You have all of those in one device. And it's got the buttons on here. So we got buttons on here. So what? Actually, it's got no buttons on. Mine is it's no buttons. Yeah, because
In the event that your screen fails, physical buttons help you control your phone.
what, the physical buttons will restart. Yes, if you freeze, it's so yeah. So the buttons are there, and actually the old-fashioned buttons we used to have on our phones. If you're old enough to remember Nokia phones and those things, they used to get filled with grit and sand and dust and all sorts of crazy things, So sometimes you try and push the button, particularly you were texting across 3 different buttons, the same button 3 times to get to the next letter and all of that. And it was full of biscuit crumbs and sand and everything else. So a battery advice. So you have a battery advice screen. So what? That was yours, was it? So it's got a battery device. That's the feature. What's the benefit?
If you have a strong, can I say, if your battery has a high voltage and watts, and that, then you're able to use it for a longer period of time. Use the phone for a period of time.
That's right. That's a great benefit. And
Saving time to charge.
yes, that's right. And also, if you're traveling a lot and you know you're going to be out a long time, you can turn off some of the things in the background or go into battery saving mode. So these are some of the, so you can see that we have features, but it's the benefit that those features bring that are really, really important. So I've got a cover on my phone. I won't demonstrate it by throwing it on the floor, but but it has hit the deck a few times, and the screen is not broken. So so we have a screen protector, and we have screen protector and a cover on our phone. The benefit of having the cover on the phone is that if it falls, it's not going to get damaged. And you could say that's an advantage that it doesn't get damaged, and the real benefit is I don't have to replace my phone every 5 minutes, because it's got some built-in bounciness in there, okay? So you're beginning to understand the difference between features and benefits within that. And I won't write these ones up, but I also talked about if we look at a backpack, right? So because we all carry backpacks around for various things. And so if you're going to buy a new backpack, well, I've got one here, which was really cheap, actually. This is a really cheap backpack, not particularly good. Zips are poor quality, but so I've got a backpack here, and let me talk through some of these features. It's got straps with nice airy pieces here. That's a feature. What would the benefit of that be?
You won't sweat.
Yes, exactly. So I'm not going to get sweaty around here, so that's going to be good for that. That's good. Back here, it's got a zippy pouch just in the very back of my backpack, which when I'm wearing it is right up, so I can put something in this backpack. That's a feature. I can bring it right into the back of the backpack in here. What's the benefit of that? Sorry? Hygiene stuff. Actually, it's great for security stuff. I can put my passport in there, right? Because if you're traveling, you're packing your case, and you're worried, you're putting how many socks have I got, how many this, how many trousers, a hat, have I put cream in, da-da-da-da-da. And finally, when you're leaving, you're only thinking, okay, of a few small things. Have I got my wallet, my phone, and my passport, right? Because if you go those three things, man, you can go anywhere, right? So you get your wallet, your phone, your passport. And actually, they're the really precious things. So I can put my passport in here, and when I'm wearing it on my back, nobody can come up and steal my passport, because that's the most important thing that I'm carrying with me. And okay, that's another feature. Now, on the side here, I got two side pouches, right? So what are their features? What's the advantage of those?
Put your drink bottle.
Yeah, what's the advantage of putting your drink bottle here as opposed to inside?
You don't get to hold it and it doesn't spill inside.
Yes, exactly. That's a good benefit. It doesn't spill inside. It's also easily accessible, so I can put that there. So normally for me, I end up with my sunglasses on one side and my bottle on the other side. So they're easy access things. I've got another pouch inside here. There's a zippy pouch inside here, so it's quite secure. So, and when you're traveling as well, it's an old story. I have a place for everything and everything in its place. So I always know my wallet is in there, my pens are in there, the important things I know to reach into. So these are the features and then the benefits of it. So you can see this is also quite robust. It's been knocked around a lot, and it's now maybe, I don't know, 3 years old or something. And so it's made from hard-wearing material. So it's made from this non-tear plastic, and the benefit of that is that I don't get holes in, I don't have a security. So I bought this because of the pouches and because I can do all the things we described. I have a security place here and so on. So I buy it because of the benefits it'll bring me. So that's just a backpack example. What else have we got? Any questions on features and benefits?
Yeah, and I think one other benefit, it has different, it has different sizes where you can put things where the lips are. And one of the benefit would be you place things in different parts, so you access them easily. Because you know that, okay, in this part, I put this and this, then in this part, I put this and this. So easy access.
Excellent. Yeah, perfect. So, okay, so we've done some things on benefits there, right? So it's the benefits of whatever it is we're going to do. And the important thing is, what do we now do with the benefits when it comes to the customer? So we're back to the transition again here, because we're trying to now summarize the needs. So we're summarizing the needs, and what we're now trying to do is look at the need that they have had, and they've uncovered whatever that need is, and how can I now take a benefit for my product or service and match it with that need. Okay, so somebody comes along and say, oh, I want a backpack that's going to have real security because I don't want to lose my passport. Okay, you can buy this backpack, it's 1,000 whatevers, and you can buy this, and it has a place for your passport to keep it secure and so forth. So that's the benefit. So now I'm meeting that need. Because when it comes in to buy a backpack, what kind of things are you looking for? Well, I travel a lot. I want somewhere to keep everything safe. I need to be able to have secure areas so I can keep my passport safe and my wallet safe and so on. So you begin to ask you questions, and how often do you leave your backpack unattended? I do this. Or do you ever have a situation where, do you bring a laptop? Yes, I do. Do you have other connectivity? Yes, I do. Do we need to have a cable going through it to charge it? Do you jog with your backpack? No, I don't. So you don't need because he might say, oh yes, I do jog with my backpack, in which case he might want to put in a plastic bottle in my backpack, and so I can suck water as I go. So there's all sorts of things. What are you going to use it for? And asking you these questions. So I mentioned yesterday about the experience I had when I first bought my first MP3 player, right? You know, because he began to ask me questions to uncover needs that I didn't even know that I had. And he had a product that he could think of all of the benefits. I didn't have to carry 20 CDs with me. I could go from track to track. I could go from album to album. I could think, oh, just all I want to hear is Bob Dylan or whatever. And I could do all of that. And these are all the benefits, and that his system could now bring to me things I never knew were possible. So this is a thing. So we need to bring the customer on a journey. And don't suppose that your customer knows your product or your company. The chances are they don't know it. They only think they know it. They might know something about it. They may even know somebody. They might even have been recommended to you by somebody else. But their needs will be different to the people that recommended you. So you need to uncover needs with that new company you're talking to. So now you're going to present a solution. Right. So when we're presenting a solution, we need to figure out what are the needs that you've agreed. So you've said to them, this is where you are, this is the situation, and this is the need. So what you need is a non-stick or a slip-resistant floor for your store, for your school, that's easy to clean. That's the real need, because you want to cut this down. So if we say to you, we can give you a grade of flooring that's going to be slip-resistant, and it's going to have a large coverage area. It will manage a rugby team running through it twice a week, and it will be easy to clean. And it'll last for 10 years, and there's a guarantee of any wear and tear for 5 years. And so is that the need? Yes, it is. That's fine. And then what I recommend is that you get this particular type of flooring. So you now make a recommendation. So you're going to make a recommendation. It's going to be this flooring with this surface finish, and maybe with this texture or this color or pattern or whatever it might be. And so, and then we need to think of, before we present the solution, how important is it in the client's eyes? Now, those of us who are married and buy things with our partner, you will find you're going there, and if you go to, I don't know, for a car, for example, you're going to buy a car, and the car salesman doesn't know whether to look at you or look at your wife, right? It's kind of like who's on the throne and who's behind the throne, right? And what's the real need? Now, so they're trying to understand what that is. So let's stick with cars for a second. And let's say I'm a car salesman, and I'm selling, I've got 6 Volkswagen Golfs that I need to sell. I sell Volkswagen Golfs. They're all silver Volkswagen Golfs. They're all 4-door or 5-door, the hatchback, whatever. They're 5-door silver Volkswagen Golfs. They're 1.6 petrol engines. They've got a Bose sound system. Everything is really cool and everything else. So now I see people coming in. So now I see a customer coming in, and he's with his dad. He's 17, and he's carrying his driving license with him. He's after passing his test, and daddy has come to buy him a car. Woo! Nice daddy. So he's coming along to buy him a car. So now I'm going to talk to daddy, and I'm going to talk to the son. So I'm trying to see, are they going, because he's probably been at the Ford dealers, he's probably going to go to the Alfa Romeo dealers later. So I want him to buy one of my silver Volkswagen Golfs. So I'm going to talk to him about various aspects of the car. So there are various features in this car. I've got a Bose sound system. I've got a 1.6 petrol engine. I've got leather seats. I've got 4 doors. So what are the things I'm going to talk about? So with the dad, I'm going to say, well, this is a good car. It's very economical. It's only 1.6 litre, super cheap to insure, even for your son, because daddy is thinking money, right? And I think it's really safe. It's the latest 5-star crash ratings in there, because he's thinking this son is going to wrap it around a lamppost somewhere. So is he going to be safe in my car? So I'm going to be talking to the dad about the things that I think the dad would probably appreciate in terms of the benefits of buying this. And then the son, I'm going to say, yeah, this is a really nice car. What kind of sports do you play? Oh, I do this, I do that. Oh, that's very interesting. Do you go away for weekends? Oh, yeah, we play football and we go to the match together. And will you be driving your friends to the match? Oh, that's great. Wow, that's good. You know, it's got then I say to the son, do you like music? Yeah, I love music. Well, okay, that's cool. Yeah, okay. And then I say, by the way, son, you know, you're going away for the weekend. You know, you've got a big boot in this, so you can put your football gear in the back of this for your 4 mates. It's got 4 doors. It'll be easy to get in and out. You won't be having to get out to let your mates go in the back seat. You can sit there while they go into McDonald's to get your burger. And that's really nice. And by the way, it's got a really good sound system. It's got a really, really good Bose sound system with really good bass. Boom, boom, you know. I'd probably have the same conversation with a pensioner, by the way, because he's also deaf. But so you see how the whole is developing? So now I'm talking to the dad about certain aspects of the car, and I'm talking to the kid about the other aspects of the car. But it's the same car, right? It's a story. This has nothing to do with selling, but it's a story I have to tell you. It's a teacher story. This boy went to school, and the teacher gave him an essay to write on my pet dog. So he wrote a story on his pet dog. And he wrote the story on the pet dog and everything else. And he would submit the essay. Teacher likes the essay. She marks it and whatever. The following year, his brother comes up to the class. And she asks the brother, now she asked him, I want to ask you guys to write an essay. And the subject is your pet dog. So the brother goes home, gets his other brother, he gets his brother's essay and hands it in. And she says, hang on, I've read this essay before. This is the same essay that your brother sent in. She says, well, miss, it's the same dog. What do you expect? So here with the Volkswagen Golf, we've got the same car, but we're looking at 2 totally different sets of features and benefits, because we're trying to sell. I'm not selling the benefits of the car, the Bose sound system, the room to get in and out and all of that. Then I might see a young couple coming in. You know, they have a little baby dragging along, a 2-year-old, and mum's pregnant. And I'm thinking, oh, you know what, this is really good. You can open this up. The security, the safety is really good. And you can put the child seat in here and another child seat in there. Have I mentioned the child seat to the father or the son? I wouldn't want to frighten the father that much by explaining to a 17-year-old how a child seat goes in. And so it's like you're now looking at different things, and you can put this in here and that in there and so on. And so you can see, do you understand? So you can see the same product, but we're looking at totally different features for that. So when you go to a customer, you need to try and engage and think, what are the aspects of my product or service that this organization is most likely to want to buy the benefits of. Okay? So we're now trying to match that with that. And so I put up here one rule: feed the need. You know, the more needs, if you go right back to the beginning yesterday, we're asking questions, we're asking questions, we're asking questions. You're all the time trying to, uncover needs. The more needs you uncover, the more stickiness your product has when it comes to develop that. Morris and I were chatting earlier today. Who here has heard of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Yeah. Now, I don't have a slide to hand on it, but one of the things we're talking about in the context this morning was proactivity. But the 7 habits effectively are, if you Google it, there's tons. There's a million things online about the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The first thing is be proactive. Okay, as a salesperson, you need to be proactive. So being proactive is number 1. Then the second thing is begin with the end in mind. Okay, what's the outcome going to be? What outcome do I want from this? So you begin with the end in mind, and then you come to the next thing is to think, okay, how am I going to do this? And you have to start thinking, win-win. I need to start making sure that everybody wins from this deal, that there's high ethical we're selling here. We don't want to con anybody into anything, but we want to meet genuine needs, and we need to make a profit for our paymaster. So we're trying to do that. So think win-win. And now the next one is you need to seek first to understand. So you need to ask questions. And once you start asking questions and asking questions and asking questions, that's where you're going to uncover the needs. That's going to be absolutely critical. And then the next thing is then you're going to synergize, you're going to match those together. And the final one is what they call sharpen the saw. So you're going to try and make sure that you continue personal development. And I think that's absolutely critical. So my point really in just talking about that is that you're feeding the need, but you're uncovering the need much earlier on with
First things first, one of them.
yes, yeah, sorry, you're right. But first things first. Yes, that's the second one. Yeah. No, the third one, sorry. That's the third one. So we're summarizing the need before we present, okay? Because if you summarize the need, you will ask them, actually, so I've summarized the need and say then, is that what you're saying? And they'll say yes or no, or have I missed anything? And they will say they might bring out some more things. And then when they bring out some more things, now you can add to those. What shall we do? I mean, I can verbally talk to, because you've got your notebooks there, right? So we're on a thing called the trial close, which is point number 5. So what's a trial close? I mean, it's an old-fashioned term in many ways, but now you've done a needs analysis, you've done a needs summary, you're now matching a benefit with the need. So you're now matching a benefit. That's a trial close. So we're now going to try and go for a close. Our friend who is a farmer with the quail isn't here today, but one of the things he was asking about is how do you close? How do we get to a deal? How can we get to the point where we're closing? Well, the most effective closing is a closing where you've uncovered needs and you're now matching the benefits with those needs. So how do we match those benefits? And why do we do what I call a trial close? We do it to test commitment. Are they really serious? Is this something they really want to do? And they may say no, or they may say yes. And then you might also come up with other things. They might sort of say, well, actually, that's a really good idea, but I need to talk to Jack in finance, or I need to bring the CEO into this, or whatever it might be. Now you're beginning to see, actually, there are more people involved in the decision-making process. Even though at the beginning, when you asked the question, they were kind of evasive, or maybe said, no, he's a decision maker. And then you find out later, actually, he needs to bring this to the board. So you uncover that. And then also it'll bring out the realities of budget. Well, what's this going to cost me? Oh, it'll cost you £8,500 or whatever. Ooh, that's a bit steamy. We only have about 4, maybe 5. Is there anything you can do on the price and whatever? So it'll bring out the realities of budget. Or you might say, well, actually, yeah, I'm really interested in what you're saying, really like this, but actually the timing is wrong. We're not interested in doing it in 2024. We'll put it in the budget for 2025. Right, so come back and talk to me in February, and we'll do something maybe to have an installation in April or May. So we begin to uncover some realities. You still on? No, okay. So yeah, does that make sense? Is it a trial close? Any questions? Are those written in your book? Are they written in your book, Morris? Yeah. Okay. So you're trying, you're attempting to close because you're now trying to understand what the customer's real drivers are. What's their commitment? So you're trying to really test the commitment and find, are there other people involved in the decision-making process and so on. And then they'll say, oh, blah-de-blah, right? There's an objection. Like maybe one of the ones we highlighted before. And I define objections as unfulfilled needs. Right? So there's a need you didn't uncover while you were talking to them. So now you think, okay, now what do we do? Okay, we go back over again and you start asking questions. Not right back to the very beginning, but you begin to ask, well, what did I miss? You maybe even ask that question. That's very good. What did I miss? So you know how to ask more questions, and you go into that, and then you uncover another need, and then you go for the close again. Okay, so if we can install this by next Thursday afternoon and get it ready for school opening on Monday, is that something you would like to do? Yes, it is. Great. What do I need to do to get this signed off. And they say, well, I need to bring it to the principal or whatever to sign it off, and we get the budget from the purser. Boom. Ask for the business. The amount of times I've been in calls with salespeople, and they actually haven't asked for the business. It's really quite bad. And I've also been a buyer. I've been a buyer on the other side, more a buyer than a seller, really, over the last number of years. And the amount of salespeople I encounter, and they never ask for the business. And there's no structure to their meetings. It's like I have to take control because they don't know what they're doing. And so it's quite strange. So agree for the next steps. What are the next steps going to be? That could be, it could be they need a proposal from me. They need to get budgetary approval internally. And maybe one of my next steps is, well, I can take this away today, but I need 20% deposit. You know, so there's all those kind of things you need to do for the next steps. But you agree those next steps, and now you're working side by side in partnership. Right. Resolving objections. So this is one we would have in a classroom environment or in a workshop environment, resolving objections. Because when I do this with companies, we would have it where we have their products out. So we know what the products are, and we know what the services are. I will have probably been out on the road with one or two of their salespeople to see how they currently behave in front of customers, look at their customers' needs and requirements, and try to understand what's going on in their industry. So, and then it's easier to have these kind of workshops because they're not really academic, right? But so you think, but just even in this one here, a couple of objections. What sort of objections would people normally, would you expect people to hear? What would you expect? A sales guy goes in, he does all the things. What kind of objections do you think you're going to hear? Maybe you've actually made those. You think of when you've been, somebody's selling something to you, and then you object. What's the normal objection? Sorry? Cost is one, absolutely, yes. So cost is one. What else could there be an objection for?
We have this already.
Yes, we already, exactly right. Yeah, we have this already, that's good. Anything else?
Sometimes that solution is not very convincing.
Yes, that's interesting.
They don't seem convinced about their own solution.
What, the salesperson doesn't seem convinced?
Yes, and it comes off to you as the buyer.
Ah,
You're not convinced.
that's interesting. So that goes back to what we were saying earlier about product knowledge. You really need to know your product and really need to know, the benefits that it brings. And we talked about
Sorry, I just wanted to speak similar to what she had mentioned. I was at a hotel recently trying to book in a visitor, and there was a certain suite that I wanted the visitor to get. So I said, I think I'll have this one. And the gentleman is trying to sell me, she was trying to upsell me, but he was discrediting his own product while trying to upsell me. And I almost laughed at him. I wanted to sit him down and teach him how he did it, but he was pretty much saying, no, we don't recommend this room. But I'm like, no, but it's your room. It's your product. Why wouldn't you want to recommend it? You know? But yeah, I just found that interesting where they're not convinced sometimes of their own solution.
Yeah, I mean that's, and you need to be careful with something like that because you will have different grades of room in a hotel, for example. You might have different standards or grades of a car as well, like the Volkswagen Golf. It could be 1.6, it could be a 2 liter, it could be a 2 liter turbo, and so there are various ones within there, and it's hard to talk about a higher value market and not a higher value product and not sort of dismiss the lower value one, because the lower value one is probably a really good product in its sector. So yeah, so price is one, but so how do we overcome that? How do we overcome price problems? You can negotiate, okay, Morris?
So that you show why the benefit is worth the cost.
Okay, so you can revisit and reposition the value of the proposition you're giving them. So you try and you hold tight. That's part of the negotiation. So you hold tight and say, no, actually, it's worth this, and go back and resell the benefits of this to them. That's good.
Sometimes you can adapt your product offering, perhaps better suit their needs, and then you bring down the cost.
Yes, you can. So exactly. So you can bring down the cost because they mightn't want all the bells and whistles, just the bells. Yeah. So yeah, we can reduce that. You could talk about payment terms. You could say, well, actually, we'll give you 60 days credit instead of 30 days, or you can do a payment over, say, a 6-month period, so much per month, so you can spread the payments. That might work with their budget. Yeah, so there's various ways of doing that. But most of the time, the objections we hear are unfulfilled needs, and we have to go back and ask them more questions. And it could be budgetary questions. It could be like Morris is saying, actually, you need to now go back and reinforce the quality of the product and how well that product meets the need that you have already exposed. And then after the meeting, now the meeting's all over, everybody's ready to go home, you're happy, you go back out to the car, and you have to do your stuff, right? And this is it's probably one of my biggest weak areas, actually. In fact, I've had a whole pile of stuff on Telegram that I need to get back to, because I went on CRM to look at stuff that I was supposed to put there on Monday, and I never did. Right? So you're supposed to actually put things on CRM. Go take the notes in a way that you can read, and make sure that everything is in there. So somebody else in the organization that has to read those notes, because most probably, if you're selling a product or service, this will go back into the system, and the system will then go to dispatch, who needs to send something out. And so those people need to be able to know exactly what needs to be sent out. The accounts department needs to know about payment. So the communication that you have is important. So you need to take good and accurate notes. And then you ask yourself, have my objectives been met? And you think, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I got a good deal. It happened well. And do you remember yesterday we had those little handout sales call things? And the third one of those is a kind of either a field accompaniment sheet if you're a sales manager going with somebody, or it is a self-assessment. Actually, I find it really useful as a self-assessment. And every now and again, when I get into full sales mode, when I'm having a lot of calls, I might have sometimes now going back over the next few months, I'll probably have 2 or 3 calls, probably 3 days a week. So I'll be quite busy doing this type of thing. And I will fill those in as I go back into this, because I need to go back in and sharpen the saw and go back in and think, actually, yeah, I need to go back to the basics. It's like if anybody here has been on a diet. I've been on a diet for years, on and off, and you lose weight, and then you gradually let the barriers down, right? The barriers on a bit more, and then the barriers come down, the waistline goes out, right? That's kind of how it works. And then you think, hang on, I need to go back to what I was doing at the beginning of this and reinstate those disciplines. And for me, I need to go back to this really over the next few weeks, because I'm going to be doing a load of sales calls between now and the end of the year. I'm going to be in very hyper sales mode, and I need to go back to this to sharpen myself, to go back to what I was doing and that I know works, and go back to the beginning. So it's really important to do that. And if it's interesting, and you look at sports people, it's always the same way. Update CRM, put all the stuff in there that we need, tell the line manager and all those good things. That's cool. Proposal meeting. Now you might want to go to, you're now planning everything, and you want to go back and do a proposal. I have a proposal meeting beginning of September, 3rd of September, whatever. I have a load of notes taken, and I need to really follow through in a lot of those. I'll probably be doing it tomorrow, actually, because it's still fairly fresh in my mind. And it's quite intensive, and it's over several places. And I need to put all of those together, and then I'm going to share them. My post-meeting, for the meeting proposal, I'm going to have to go to some of my colleagues in operations, some of my colleagues in finance, and some of my colleagues in marketing, because I need to go to these guys in order to put this proposal together. So it'll take me quite a lot of work to do all of this. So I prioritize what are the needs going to be, so I have to prioritize that. Frame the benefits, I can do that in the letter, that won't be a problem. Think of other people reading it. Yeah, it's interesting. I used to get proposals when I was first doing this sort of thing, and I used to give it to my wife to read. she knows nothing about what I do. I said, does this make sense to you? It's almost like asking a random person off the street. Because when you hand that proposal over to your contact in the business, the chances are it's going to be passed up to somebody else, and then passed on to somebody else, and then passed over to somebody else. And by the time he gets to the fifth person, nobody knows what's going on, right? So you need to write your proposal in such a way that if your granny read it, she'd know exactly what it means. All right, so right, there might be some technical jargon in there, but write it in such a way that it makes sense to people. And if there are benefits, then you think of the people who are going to be reading this. If the finance director is reading this, what's he going to be looking out for? He's going to be looking at the money and what's it going to cost me, what's it going to save me. He's going to be a money guy. If it's the CEO, he's going to think, how can this add shareholder value to my business? How can this really increase the value of the company and take us going forward to meet the vision and the goal and so forth. So, and if the marketing person reads it, they'll have other thoughts on it. So what are there benefits in there for these other people when they're reading it? So you're trying to think, okay, when you reread your proposal, read it with FD glasses on and read it with marketing glasses on and so on. So try and see, are there benefits in there for them as well? Because they may be influencers in the decision right behind your back and you might never have met them. But you need to think ahead of what those people might be thinking. Incorporate their language in the proposal. Yeah, you saw on the easy thing that I put up, a very casual kind of language, Other places are far more formal in how they look. And the best way they understand their language is to go on their website, get a little feel for what they have, look at their press releases, how do they communicate? Are they using sophisticated English? I put a proposal one time, one time, and I said that they had recondite knowledge of the subject. And somebody, my manager, says, what does recondite mean? And she says, that's too sophisticated a word to use for these people. And I thought, okay, I'll remove recondite from the proposal. So write it in a way that it's going to be understood by them, and that's a skill in itself. Yeah, and if you have to deviate from anything, because as you're putting this together, you think, oh, actually, I missed that out actually, or they don't have it available in that size or in that color or it might be 3 months before it's available. If anything has changed, ring your contact. He doesn't want any surprises, right? So ring your, and come alongside them, not as a customer, but as a colleague now, because he's now on your side. Okay, he's made the decision to purchase this product, pretty much in principle, because he's now going to put this to the board for approval. So you and he are buddies now. Because now he's trying to save face because he wants to do that thing of defending the purchase of those trainers, right? He's trying to make that justification. So he's now on your side. So now you can go back and say, listen, Jack, I'm very sorry, but it's only available in red. How is that going to impact on our decision? And so you can now talk through that with him. So that's really good. That's really good because now he's your buddy. I just throw a little bit in here on telephone sales. Telephone sales outbound. Outbound calls are tough. If you're ringing people out all the time, it's actually quite tough to ring. Hello, it's David here from Daddy Da. I want to talk to Jack. Oh, who's Jack? Jack doesn't want to take your call. And actually, this has become less and less and less as time has gone on. I don't now make any calls to Jack anymore. I will connect with Jack on LinkedIn, and I might send him a communication on LinkedIn, and then we can build from there. So by the time we get to might have a screen call, and actually people will actually jump on a screen call almost quicker than they'll pick up a telephone now. So it's a different form of communication. But outbound calls are difficult. But because it's hard to build rapport, you can't see the other person. You can't really get the nuance of what they're saying. You can't really kind of connect with them as good. So it's hard. Also, I don't know about you guys, but I occasionally get phone calls at home. Not many, thank goodness, because now I think, I never make an outbound call with my landline. They're kind of its history, and we don't use it anymore. But it's still there, and you get a phone call, and it goes click. Hello, is that Alex Sweeney? Yes, it is. No, it's not. That's my daughter. Oh, and can I interest you in double Alex Sweeney is my daughter, so clearly the guy hasn't been listening. Can I interest you in double glazing or solar panels or replacement windows, whatever the gag happens to be? And I immediately think, sorry, I'm not interested, goodbye, because it's disrupting it. But business to consumer selling is very tough in that regard, because you're having to reach into consumers. Business to business sales is much nicer. It's more professional. You engage with people at that level. But telephone, the only thing I would say about this is you prepare for telephone calls the way you prepare for an ordinary call. So what's the need? Who am I going to talk to? Have I got 2 or 3 questions I can ask? Can I get them talking very early on? That's a key one. Ask an open question to get them talking. Now, I'm David Sweeney from Dodo. Have you heard of us? Oh, yes, I have. Or no, I haven't. But they will talk. They'll start talking. Get them talking pretty quickly, and that's really important. So yeah, it's the same continuum really as we would have. Is that a question coming in or not? Inbound calls. If you have an organization with inbound calls, and we have this in the pizza business, not so much nowadays. It's much reduced with online ordering and app ordering, but we still get people ringing up a pizza store. Hi, my name is Jack. I want to buy a pizza. So Jack comes on the phone. He wants to buy a pizza, and it's interesting. So you're on the phone to them, and now you're going to have to take your call. So if you're the telephone operator in something like a pizza store and you're taking a call, you need to now constantly, there'll be so many other distractions. The phones will all be ringing, the lights will be up there ringing on the phones. There'll be machinery going on in the background. There'll be ovens coming out here, there'll be drivers coming and going. But you need to focus on the most important person in your life at that time is the person at the other end of the phone. Right? And then how do you now blank out everything else and talk just to that person at the end of the phone? Oh, okay, and it's not just, what do you want? You got that somewhere. How many I want? Yeah, pepperoni. Is that 12-inch? Yeah. Oh, good evening. Very nice to hear from you. You want to order pizza? Is it a special occasion? Is it a birthday, that kind of an occasion? Oh, yeah, it's a family birthday. Oh, good, excellent. We have a special tonight. We got 2 pizzas for the price of this. And tell me, have you got a birthday cake organized for tonight? Oh, yeah, what age is she going to be? I'm going to be 8. Oh, great. Tell you, why don't you get some, would you be interested in having some ice cream with that? I can do a deal with you on ice cream. You can get 2 for the price of 1 on ice cream. So you're not consulting with them. So slow down. Don't just take the calls. We found the problem with inbound calls in the pizza industry was that the person on the phone wasn't paying attention to the customer. And what they were doing was they just wanted to get the call quick, doing a little bit of pizza, bang, 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 push it in the thing, slam down, next call, hello, da, 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 bang, next call, da, da, da. And the average ticket, and I can't remember the exact numbers, but the average ticket for, the average order value for telephone orders was in the region of £14. Okay, £14 coming in. When we went to online ordering, the average ticket went up to £21, a 50% increase, because the customer had time to think. They had time to look at the full menu. We had pop-ups. Would you like drinks? Would you like some desserts? Would you like some sides, wings, chicken dips, whatever? All those things that come up. The call on the coming in was around about 2 minutes. The online presence while they were ordering was more like 4 minutes. So they're taking longer and they were looking at various things, and we were getting more sales. Also, you were dealing with a noisy environment. You're in a pizza store, it's noisy. And the guy is having difficulty to hear me. You might be different accents, different speed, different intonations, and all of those things happening together. All he wants to do is get off the phone and get the next order in. So we found about a 50% increase in the ticket. And the other interesting thing, whether they're related or not, I don't know, but the average reorder with the telephone was every 8 weeks. The average reorder with the online was 5 weeks. So not only were they spending more, they were spending it more often. So inbound, if you have a business with inbound telephones, you're losing business if you're not really consulting with the person on the other end of that phone. So be very careful with inbound calls. Right, we're there. So at the beginning, I asked people what they wanted from this module. And so this is what people said. How to create a marketing and sales plan. I don't think we've done that, have we? So these are some of the questions we asked. How do we sell ethically? Any thought? Who asked that? Was it you asked the question? What are your thoughts on that now?
Especially on some of the questions I was asking, like on experiences and stuff, I would feel like this was tackled here. My thoughts on this is that, especially from a Christian perspective, you really need to looking for win-win situations where you're both getting a benefit out of, instead of just one party calling the other.
Yeah, that's right. And the other thing I think I would add to that, what he's saying was, as an ethical perspective, we need to get a win-win from this, where both people are gaining from it. But also, there are probably some types of organizations or some industries that actually we don't want to work in, right? There's some obvious ones, but we don't want to work in several industries we probably don't really want to work in because we're not comfortable with working in them as Christians. So we don't really want to be in some of those places. So we need to be careful with the choices we make career-wise as we go down that road. How to motivate a sales team? I think was it you asking me this? I think a whip. I think a whip is a good one. And, we didn't touch on how to motivate a sales team. I don't think we touched on that because we didn't really look at sales management as such. But the one thing I would add to that is the old adage of what gets measured gets done, okay? What gets measured gets done. If something is measured and you know you're going to be measured that way, you're going to perform to that. So what gets measured gets done. So if you measure people on their call rate, how many phone calls are you going to make a day? How many knocks on the door are you going to make every day? If that's what you measure, that's what they're going to perform to. And don't be afraid to change how people are measured periodically if you think that's, thank you very much. If you think that's going to help tweak what's going to be. And there might be times where you bring in specials. I think there's no harm if you have a sales force to have some competition in there, So if you're selling, I don't know, you're selling microphones, right? So you're going to sell microphones. So I've bought 1,000 microphones from Microphones Inc. in China, and they've all just arrived. I want to sell these microphones. So whoever sells, we got various deals. If you buy 5 microphones, it's this price. If you get 3 microphones, it's that price. If you buy 1 microphone, it's this price. And whichever salesperson hits the most is going to, I don't know, get a weekend in Cape Town or whatever the prize is, right? So you incentivize them accordingly. So I think, and you can have short incentives are better than long-term incentives because you're focusing on the day-to-day, and I think that probably helps. But I think measurement is important and be careful. But if you want to talk to me, I have a lot of stuff we've done before on that. If you want to email me or have a screen call sometime in the next couple of weeks, I'm happy to talk that through in more detail.
They know more about the products, they can also be more motivated to sell. So I think
yes.
Some of what was already discussed small businesses usually we don't have systems and structures in place. So sometimes that can also be motivating for some people. They don't even know where to start from.
Yes. Yeah, and actually how you structure, how many people have you got in a sales team?
3 of us. I do the sales, everybody that,
Yeah. Right, yes. Yeah. And that's interesting because it goes back then to the structure, so you're doing everything, but you do need to divide your time up into various parts. And because there was one organization, myself and a guy called David Helliwell, we did some work together with a company over maybe over a year, I think, in total. And we were doing a lot of sales coaching with their people, but we would take 1 day a month off the road for everybody, where we had a sales team, and we used to keep the results pretty brief. These are the people, this is what they sold, yada yada. We'd keep that pretty brief because it's history, nothing you do about it. Move on, focus on the future. Then we look at what are the major wins, what did people find, what new benefits did they discover in their product, what's the competition up to, what's happening out in the marketplace. And then we would also do some field accompaniment with people using that coaching sheet was very, very useful actually. And we use a coaching sheet like that to try and see how we can get people to sell in a more systematic way. And then once a month we'd have a training session with people, and that was really useful. But the main thing was to try and look at the future rather than and look at and skills development rather than beating people up over something they achieved or didn't achieve. Yes, we celebrated results and we celebrated people's success, of course, but we didn't beat people up who didn't perform, because it could be their turn next month and the other guy did not perform. How we closed the deal, I think we dealt with a lot of that today already. I couldn't read my own writing, I'm sorry. Uncover the primary purpose of sales is all I could come up with. I don't know what this meant. But yeah, I mean, somebody somewhere said, and he was probably a sales guy, said that nobody happens until somebody somewhere sells something. And then everything else kicks into action. Manufacturing and distribution and finance and everything else kicks in once somebody has sold something. I don't necessarily hold to that, but it's not a bad shout. But okay. I think that's it. That was the purpose of the program we had at the beginning. And yeah, that's it.